Last Unicorn, released in 1982, adapted by the book sharing the same title by Peter S. Beagle, delves into philosophical and existential themes among visually appealing animation, holds a bizarre but pioneering place when it comes to the thematic boundaries and depiction of morality in children's media, works of adaptation, and its marks in prodigital age of animation. Released in the 80s, a time when animation is still very manual, and fantasy and science fiction was becoming popular with films like Star Wars and the animation of The Hobbit, the space for experimenting with animation as a form resulted with films like The Dark Crystal and The Secret of the Nim, alongside The Last Unicorn. Being produced by Rankin Bass, The Last Unicorn was an unusual release considering the movie's depth and complexity for children's content. Despite being produced by a Western production company, the film was animated by Topcraft from Japan, which later on formed Ghibli Studios. This global link can be seen as the movie creating a bridge among distinct visual and storytelling cultures. The film's legacy in animation can be seen in Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind or Princess Mononoke through the nature scenes and moral ambiguity. To focus more on The Last Unicorn as a work of adaptation, the film captures the essence of the story written by Peter S. Beagle, who also worked on the scenario for the film, without leaving any aspects of emotional complexity aside or simplifying the supposedly dark themes of loss, regret, identity, or existential loneliness for the sake of appealing more towards children. Even though this legacy of not seeing child audiences clueless about deeper subjects is not a common trend today, apart from films like Coraline, Ghibli films, or animated TV shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Last Unicorn shows that the dogmatic representation of morality as a binary opposition is not the only way to make his story engaging or meaningful. Through her transformation into a mortal human form, Unicorn Amalthea faces human emotions like love, loss, and regret despite her immortal, sheltered past. Beagle talks about this transformation by saying,
"As long as she knows that there are others, she doesn't need company. But to be the real last of something is terrifying for her. And that's the thing people have most spoken to me about over the years, how you deal with loneliness and the difference between being alone."
This shows that, despite the folktale-like atmosphere which usually is a promise of happily ever after and defeating the evil, the haunting possibility of being the last of her kind creates a bittersweet ending alongside an alienation which parallels with struggles of growing up. Expected pure evil characters come across as nuanced representations of repressed emotions and numbness felt under oppressive society, and the fantasy genre is used in a way to represent these very real complexities of human nature in a more metaphoric scale. Lastly, leaning towards the film's cultural legacy, despite not being a commercial success at its release, the film works as a product of transmedia, diffusing into a very wide time frame from the release of the book by Beagle in 1968 to the film's release and a soundtrack for it performed by America in 1982 to more recently a comic book adaptation. The film's cult following nowadays is a result of this expanding story for the audience to enjoy through different media types. And as a result, The Last Unicorn is a great example that shows children's media can benefit from darker themes without getting lost in sorrow and continue to embrace wonder and magic. The film's cult following also shows that the link between fantasy and animation does not present an ignorant escape from real world, but are effective ways to delve into the complex and natural human experience.